Very, very useful.
Yeah. Well, we've got a unique one here, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I just got an email this morning about doing one in Spanish for, landscaping and construction. And I'm trying to find somebody who's fluent in Spanish who would be able to maybe facilitate that, because my Spanish is not good.
I don't know if she's available, but maybe Alejandra Trace.
Yeah, just do me a favor.
Do you know her?
Oh no, I don't. But I'm trying to keep
I'll
track.
reach out to her first.
Okay, good. Thank you.
If you can't find someone, I might have a couple people that may be able to do it.
That'd be great.
And they're on island. They have the services here.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, Miguel might be able to too. He does a lot of construction.
I actually used to be the executive director for the Seattle Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, or King County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Are you fluent?
A Hawaiian that doesn't speak a lick of Spanish.
Gosh.
All right, there you go. All right, well, I'm going to pop off because I actually have to go do my other job, and Rachel's going to take it away with you guys. But thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Bye.
Hey guys. So I don't know, do we want to give it another minute or so to see if a couple more people join us, or do we want to just go ahead and get started?
Go ahead and get started.
Okay, let's do it.
Yep.
So I think that some of you have been in on these calls before. This is new to me and I'm hosting it, so it's kind of funny. But for those of you who have been in on these calls, you already know this, but for those of you who have not, our goal in having these roundtable discussions is to be able to hear from all the different, hi Bob, to be able to hear from all the different industries as far as what we need, and also to kind of creatively discuss how we're going to approach reopening our businesses. And in this particular industry, it's a little bit tricky because we don't have control over the environment. We can't put up signs and say, you have to wear a mask when you come in because we're going in. So I wanted to pull something together that was for a group of people that enter into other people's homes, more than just having people come into your place of business. The goal of these meetings is that from here, we're going to hold a workshop and use the information that we've heard back from the businesses to assemble toolkits for the businesses to help them reopen. So some of these toolkits for a lot of the retail places are asking for signage and stickers on the floor to show spacing. Again, not so helpful for us, but what would be helpful for us. And I think that that's a really great opportunity for those of us who are entering. I mean, I don't know, I kind of want to ask for an astronaut helmet, hazmat suits, something like that. But also another thought in having this meeting is to talk about, are we doing something different in the way that we're approaching entering people's homes? And are we expecting different things of our clients? So we do have a lovely list of questions that we are hoping to ask of ourselves and answer. Some of the things to review are, what are our top 3 concerns in regard to customer interaction upon reopening our businesses? So let's just start off by just chatting a little bit about it. I'll go ahead and start since I'm the host, and I don't know that I actually took the time as the host to sit down and write down what my top 3 concerns are. But when I think about it, my biggest, I would say, I would even hone in on just one concern. My biggest concern is that I cannot control the environment, and I don't know what is going to happen when I reach a client's home. So, even just without a pandemic happening, when I go into a client's home as a female, it's a little bit intimidating. If it's a man that's called me into their home, I'll make sure to let my husband know I'm going to be gone for this amount of time. I should be home by this time. I'm going to check in. If you don't hear from me, get worried. A little less so on the island, but back when we lived in Seattle, I just didn't go to single men's homes for a while. So now add a pandemic to the situation, we have even less control over the situation. So that would be my number one top concern. I don't know that I have a top three. I think that one encompasses my top three. Others, what are your top concerns? Does anyone want to volunteer?
I went into somebody's home yesterday. I took my dog to a chiropractor over on Kitsap Peninsula, and I had to go to the bathroom. So, and he did the work outside, so we didn't have to go into the house. But I just noticed going in, I mean, didn't want to touch anything. So probably gloves would have been a good idea if I had them, if I'm going into somebody's home.
Mm-hmm.
I did wear a mask, so I did do that. But the way he was behaving and seeing people, I suspected that he was healthy. So, but if I was going to see somebody as a client going in, I would have probably more questions about their history of their health and where they've been and things like that. I'd like to know more. It seems pretty scary to me to go into somebody's home.
Yeah.
Not knowing. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Barbara, hi. And actually we should probably introduce ourselves. I went ahead and skipped that part. I'm Rachel. I own Waldron Designs. It's an interior architectural design firm. Robert, you just spoke. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, just for the breathable body, the breathing and movement education. And I come to these meetings also for my wife, who's a rolfer, who has her own studio for people coming in, but not unusual for her to be called to somebody's home as well. So just interested in that particular exchange of how that's going to happen. Mm-hmm.
Bob, you're muted, Bob. Bottom left.
There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
I'm a general contractor here on the island, and I've been on the island about 30 years, and we're just now getting back to work. So we've been allowed back in, and so just yesterday I was in a client's house. Fortunately, it's a client I've worked for about 20 years, so I felt very comfortable, but we're wearing masks and we're enforcing social distancing, and I only am having one trade on the job at a time, and I'm only having one of my guys work on the job for now. We're bringing another guy on Monday. But, basically I've told my clients things are going to move slowly. So my concern is, biggest concern is just somebody getting sick. And so, we didn't work for the first month and a half. And then when they opened up the construction industry, we very gently started in until everybody feels comfortable. So I guess my biggest concern is just, being responsible for somebody getting sick. And I'm going to do whatever I can to prevent that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That actually, that made me think of, I've often said to my husband, I don't want to be the spreader of disease. I don't want to be the person going into multiple homes and carrying it from one home to the next. That's right. A little bit scary.
Right.
Barbara, you're muted, Barbara. Go ahead and unmute yourself. It's on the bottom left of your screen. Let's see. I don't know if I can unmute you because I'm not the host. Cheryl should have made me the host. I'm the host, but Cheryl is technically it's her Zoom account, so I don't know how to unmute you myself, Barbara. But
Barbara, down where you turned on your video. Okay.
Do you know how to type in chat, Barbara? You can send us a message and maybe we can figure that one out. And then in the meantime, Amy, would you like to introduce yourself? And we're talking about our top concerns of reopening.
Yeah, hi, and so sorry for the late arrival. I'm really curious what everybody else is up to, but I'm a piano tuner and piano technician. I repair pianos, do a lot, most of my work in people's homes. So I'm concerned about carrying, the virus.
Oh, Amy, you froze. Did she freeze for everyone or just me?
Just for me too.
And poor Barbara's won't unmute. Barbara, you might want to try calling in. I don't know if that's an option. No? Okay. We do have someone else, a little secret person here on a phone as well. So they are welcome to jump in and introduce themselves at any time. And Chris, would you like to make your introduction?
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris Nakea. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for our Mayberry, and I'm here really just to learn about what all businesses are doing to reopen.
Okay, great. So while we wait for Amy to unfreeze, and Barbara, if you feel like you want to contribute anything, if you want to say anything at any point, feel free to email me too. If you want to send over some messages, I'll keep checking my email. So my email is Rachel, RACHEL, @waldrondesigns.com. And you just use my spelling right here on my screen, Waldron, and then designs is plural. So if you feel like you want to input anything, I'd be happy to be your voice.
Rachel, can I add something?
Yes, please.
It's just a new piece of information that's starting to come through, and I just think everybody should know about it, because I do concern myself with going in people's homes, testing their air quality. That what they have discovered now is that the virus itself, when it passes through a city that's very polluted, like the ones that it has done, it attaches itself to the pollutants. And so that's why the incidences are higher in a much more contaminated city, because it just doesn't leave, it doesn't blow through as easily. And now that the environments are clearing up, because the question was, why did Wuhan clear up so much? Because the environment cleared up, and so the virus couldn't stay around as long. So that's why it's decreasing in these areas where the pollution is decreased. It's moving through like anything else would move through. So that's just an interesting piece to know about air pollution and pollution in homes. It tracks more of those things. It then becomes part of the air pollution in a particular manner. So just thought I'd pass that along. It's pretty fascinating to me
that is very fascinating.
That's why so.
Even more motivation to take better care of our planet.
Well,
that's for sure.
Also, we are lucky in Vashon because really the pollution levels were really low here, so it didn't probably hang out here as long.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, just wanted
absolutely.
To pass that information along.
We talked about this a little bit in our when we were expressing our concerns, but another one of the questions that we're asking everyone is, what have you planned already? And have started implementing into the way that you work that is different or preventative, or and I know that Bob, you talked about spacing things out, and by the way, thank you so much. I know that that's not super common right now for a lot of people who are working. They're just continuing as if nothing is happening, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'm doing is I'm slowing down projects that are in other people's homes. So I'm letting them know that I'm just not that comfortable being around their kids. You know, I mean, if everybody's at home and we come in and make a mess out of your house, I mean, it's horrible for them. So I'm trying to convince clients that want us to come into their home to push the plans back a little bit. And that, you know, people are very receptive to that. But I also have 2 or 3 projects that are in outbuildings, you know, where we're completely away from the family. Sometimes like the one we're on now, 100 feet away from the house. Mm-hmm. And I feel really comfortable with that, you know, as long as, you know, my employees do what they're supposed to do. And I have, you know, responsible employees and they're taking care of business. So I'm feeling good about that part of it. Also, I mean, I'm not meeting a lot with clients these days. When I do, it's online. Mm-hmm. On anybody's house. I've had 3 or 4 Zoom conferences with different clients, with employees. You know, just trying to limit contact as much as possible. You know, taking care.
Yeah. I think I've been approaching things very similarly. I've been having virtual consultations. Even usually the in-home consultation is the first one that follows our meet and greet. And I've been doing that virtually and having my clients walk me through their home, turn their phone around and show me everything. And I can, for the most part, get a good enough idea to give them a good proposal,
Yeah.
design proposal, and take off from there. I can't, do color consultations that way. But
But you're gonna have to go back and do them again.
right. I know. Another thing that I have put together that I haven't used yet because I'm waiting for phase 2 for this is when we are able to start new projects, I have a questionnaire that is ready to go for my clients that they have to answer. And I have, as a part of the questionnaire, by answering these questions, I'm committing to do the same for you. Please take your temperature the day that I'm going to visit. Please, I'm trying to remember all the things that I've said, and I've asked them to keep a 10-foot distance. So I said, while I'm measuring, just plan on not being in that space. Just, if it's the whole house, go out and have some coffee. Go get a coffee, go sit outside, enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's a pretty detailed questionnaire that I'm asking them to do. Amy, you're back. You're still muted, but you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. A lot of technical problems over here.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
So we were talking about your concerns, piano tuning, and
yeah. So I'm concerned about the same things about that everybody probably is concerned about physical distance, but and going home. I'm going into people's homes and carrying it from one place to another because I do quite a bit. It's not like I have one project that I work on for a long time. I mean, typically I go visit a number of homes throughout the day. So there's some protocols that my guild, technical guild, is recommending about cleaning pianos, cleaning keys. But there's, the piano surfaces are sensitive, so there's some limit to what I can do. So, and also I'm thinking of wearing masks, but it's a pretty physical job, so it's uncomfortable. But I'm about to approach it then, and I'm thinking of I'm planning on going back to work phase 2. So 1st of June, started making appointments, assuming that everything will be, our trajectory is going to be continuing towards opening up. And so that's my story. Yeah.
Hi, Dawn. I saw somebody sneak in here. Oh, but we can't hear you for some reason. It doesn't say you're muted, but we can't hear you. Nope, still can't hear you. I'll let Dawn play around with her volume and we'll see if we can figure that out. Thank you, Amy. Barbara, it looks like you got another computer. Are you able to unmute or no? No, okay. It was worth a shot, right? Robert, Chris, did you want to say anything about ways that you're working differently?
Not at this point. Everything's online. So mostly my clients come to me directly to my office. I don't really do that much in home, but I think when I do more air quality consulting with people, I will be going into their homes. And that's an interesting thing to go to somebody's home whose home is also not really up to standards in air quality. So that's an interesting thing to.
Right. I was just saying to somebody, when you enter somebody else's home, it's not, when you have somebody come into your retail storefront or something like that, like I said, you can control your environment. You can open the windows. You go into somebody's home, you can smell the food that they made the night before. You can smell how they live. You can feel the air change as you enter somebody's home. It's a huge environmental, experience. And sometimes it's a wonderful experience, but it also, with this happening right now, it's every little smell, every little change of air pressure or, even the humidity change of entering someone's home, you feel that. And I can imagine, I don't know, for me, I think about that and I kind of get the willies.
I like carrying a little portable air monitor for under $100, and it's, within 3 minutes, it gives me all the information about what's going on in their house and in the different areas right away.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder at, I almost wonder if I was to carry one into someone's house and detect something very unsafe, if I would just be like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I would be worried about offending them, and yet,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's interesting. That almost poses another dilemma.
No, it's true. I mean, because it doesn't, it just depends how long you're going to spend in the house and how bad it is also, and how sensitive your airways are. People who are already
Mhm.
compromised and know they are compromised, would have a more difficult time coming into somebody's house. And they don't know,
Yeah.
people don't often know the reason why they all of a sudden they get sick. They don't realize it's in somebody's house or it's in a store and something was in that store and they don't really realize it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote a blog post just the other day that listed out all of my protocols. And so one of the things that I'm planning to do, in addition to my questionnaire, is share that with all of my existing clients too. It's really nice to just get the word out to everyone. This is how we're operating, and make it really clear. That's one of the things that the Chamber is working on with these toolkits that we're putting together is, like I said, signage, which doesn't maybe help us so much, but it's something to think about as far as one thing that they suggested was something that we could put on our websites. So clients can see that in advance. These are the protocol that we're following. And the goal is that we're having consistent messaging across the island. So this is something that, it's in every window across, all the businesses. And maybe if we all have it on our websites, we're very clear, we are following these protocol, we're following these procedures, then it kind of prevents a little bit of that, the occasional person that doesn't care so much and doesn't have as much respect for the fact that we are entering their homes and putting ourselves at risk. So that's something else to think about, as whether or not you would want to use that. I'm checking my little checklist of questions, so bear with me. I'm not the best host. I'm just going to do that. The next question we've got on here is, what guidance are the businesses in your group following? Oh, okay. So CDC, specific industry, and or King County. And that one I find to be really interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like our industry, there's to me, it seemed like there was very clear protocol for construction. Bob, do you feel that? Yes.
Yeah.
But
although truthfully, just if I could interject here, it took me a while when they first opened up construction to realize that they were just talking about existing projects. And it's like, well, we had broken ground. I guess that's an existing project, so we went back to work.
Right.
But
right.
I wasn't sure for a while.
I was very unclear on what it was they wanted contractors to be posting.
Right.
They're saying, make sure you're posting this, but they haven't provided any kind of posters to post.
I can't.
Are we supposed to generate that?
Yeah, I know. So, but with a small controlled job site, posting I don't think is as big an issue as just communication. So
right.
The people that have been on the job site know what I expect. And we keep reminding him. And fortunately, my employee is very concerned and responsible, so he enforces that. He made me put a mask on yesterday. That's how serious.
That's awesome. Good job.
I forget. You walk up, I'm used to just, hey, how you doing?
Right. Like, yeah. I guess I don't know about anyone else here. So like what I was saying, it's pretty clear as to what contractors, there are certain rules that have to be followed, but others of us may or may not fit into that category. I technically am permitted to go back to work for existing projects like a contractor would. Designers do get categorized into that. So I'm continuing my site visits, or have been since it reopened. But I don't know that it's a little bit more fuzzy for some of us. Even just for myself as a designer going into a contractor site, I can follow my own protocol, which is following the contractor protocol as closely as possible, but I don't have control over the environment. Or the job site. So I'm just a visitor. So I'm interested, do you all have protocol that you're using? Do you have something that you're following? Anyone want to jump in on that one? Amy, do you have anything? I mean, I don't, that's pretty specific piano tuning. I mean,
Yeah, but in some ways there's an advantage that I might, I focus right on the piano. So I go right to the piano. That's my zone of danger, and so I could, so my protocol is very specific to materials on the piano. I haven't started yet, so I have 2 weeks to come up with it. But I've asked, have people stay out of the room, keep distance, take everything off the piano, so I don't have to touch much. And I will use products. I'll find this gentle enough products that will help. And like I said, I might use a mask and wear gloves, and that's will keep. I'm mostly concerned. I'm concerned about carrying it from one place to another. And this happened before we shut down. That I would visit some elderly clients, and who weren't concerned at all, but I had felt like I was, potentially carrying it from one place to another, and I just felt like the risk was so huge that, so, I'm going to try to stay in my bubble in people's homes, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
That's a really good point that you made about clearing off the piano. I don't know about others here, but when I go into people's homes, I'm measuring. And so oftentimes I have to get behind furniture. I have to touch things. I have to move them around. So that's a really good point to ask my clients, at least in advance, to please clear the area, pull furniture off the wall as much as possible, things like that. Hey, Dawn, did you ever figure out your mute situation or your volume? Should we give it a try? Try unmuting yourself. Let's see if we can hear you.
She's looking for the mute. Oh, there she goes.
She's like, I can hear you. Oh, no, I couldn't. I thought I did.
Oh, yeah, it's for a second.
In and out.
She was there.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was trying to do this from my iPad sitting on the ferry. And then by the time I got successful, I thought, well, let me dial in so I can call from my phone. So I think my phone is still connected to you. And then I was like, but I can't, nobody's recognizing me. So maybe I need to try the iPad again right before I got off the boat. And so anyways, I just pulled over to park and here I am. So
Awesome.
listening. So.
Any thoughts, Dawn, concerns, or?
Well, mainly like everybody else, I'm trying to get a feel for what other island businesses are doing. And I'm also have the same concerns. I'm worried that this thing is worse than we think it is. And I'm going to bring something home to my family or spread something to someone else. I mean, those same concerns. I don't want to take it lightly. And I try to, I've seen others out there just doing their thing like it's regular times, and I'm more cautious. But I'm primarily, trying to avoid the in-person work and only do jobs that are vacant homes that have been empty. So at least I'm not coming in touching too much of other people's things, and it can be disinfected. I've added a little clause to my contract, requiring that, if we do see anybody, or that nobody can be on site while we're there, that they have to.
What do you do, Dawn? What's your
home staging?
Home staging. Okay.
Home staging, yeah. So yeah, I had one job right at the beginning of the sort of pandemic, right before things shut down, and then I've done one other job since then that was a vacant home, that it was a flip, so it's been empty for quite a while. No one's been living in it for a long time, so I felt okay with that. But I've been using my family members to help me, and I that's another concern for me, is when I need help, who's going to be willing to come in and assist me, because not everybody else is comfortable with that. So
Right. Right. Yeah, that is that is one of the things that I've been telling my clients is that usually when I measure a home, you know, I measure a space, it takes this much time, but that's also usually I have an assistant who's one person's doing the measuring, another person's writing it down. So it takes a lot longer now. It's going to be just me. My assistant is completely behind the scenes.
right.
And if it's a full house, I've told them, you know, complete home remodel, I may arrive separately with my assistant and we'll break it up, but then we ask them to leave. It's you can't have two people going through a house and trying to do this quickly without having some concern.
Yeah. So I'm not even 100% certain at this point what the state is saying about staging. I think I've heard conflicting information. So I think that we're allowed to, as long as we're following, you know, certain protocol. But you know, like I said, I'm really reluctant to do anything where there's other people around or I'm messing with other people's furniture, and kind of like you know, I don't want to be moving their stuff, touching their things. I sometimes I wonder if I'm being too paranoid, but I just don't want to take the chance.
Right. Better safe than sorry. I'd rather not risk. I mean, I don't know about the age groups, demographics of your clients. Most of my clients are baby boomers and older, most of them. So we've got high risk people that I'm entering their homes and going from one to the other.
Yeah.
So then the other question that we're asking everyone, and this is probably one of the most important questions for these roundtables, is where do you need help? What could you use what could the chamber provide you if we were to put together a toolkit for you? So for these retail businesses, if we have signage, sneeze guards, masks, gloves, any of these products, would they be helpful for you? Or is there another product that you're thinking of that, gosh, you know, as I'm entering into somebody's home, I mean, sure, give me an indoor air quality meter. That'd be great. But no, I'm going to have to buy that one. But any thoughts from any of you as far as what would help you?
Well,
go ahead.
From my perspective would be, you know, right now we're doing fine. You know, we've got masks, we've got hand sanitizer, you know, we're doing what we're supposed to do. But if this goes on and on and on and on, I mean, who knows? You know, so resources where we could get the stuff that we need to do to be in compliance. I mean, I've been looking for it, but it's hard to find, for one thing, and it's hard to know what we're actually being required. And I don't know, nobody's going to come out here and bug us, you know, but that's not my bottom line. My bottom line is what's the smartest, safest thing to do. So just some clarification on the guidelines would be nice. And then, you know, resources, you know, where we can go to get stuff that we need to be in compliance would be great.
That is a really good idea. Amy?
Yeah, and I was going to say it would be helpful to have Rachel, you were listing your protocol, and you know, and it would be great, and maybe that exists, but it would be great for me to just be able to pull a reference sheet and pick and choose from that, from that list of protocols. So
I would be happy to share what I've put together with anyone who's in here, if anyone's interested. I do have the questionnaire for my clients, and I have the blog post that lists out my protocol. If you just put your email in chat, I'd be happy to share what I've put together so far.
Great, thank you.
And you know, this is just, I've been using the construction checklist as, you know, kind of I'm reading through again. And also my husband is an architect that works for a large firm, so they are very up on the protocol. He goes to a job site and he's got eye protection, he's got mask, he's got hard hat, vest, gloves. They're basically in hazmat suits.
I'm also thinking about like what to share with our clients about their spaces. You know, you mentioned you're saying everyone should stay 10 feet away or out of the room, things like, you know, those I don't know if those are included as well. But those,
yes, they are in mine. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's something that the chamber, maybe that's something I contribute to the chamber as well to distribute as a part of this toolkit.
Great.
I've got a 7-year-old interruption. Go ahead, Henry. Okay, so any other suggestions for resources or products or?
It make me think, Rachel, that there's a lot of questions come my way, and there's a lot of articles being written on what's the proper protocol for wearing a mask in the first place, because people are getting sick, they're getting migraines, they're getting carbon dioxide overload. If they have the virus, they're re-inhaling their own virus, which makes them even sicker than before. So maybe there's some information that needs to be put together for what's a mask protocol. Do you wear it when you're exercising? Do you not wear it when you're exercising? And so most of the information about exercising is no. If you're out in the air and you're not next to anybody, then you really don't need to be wearing them, because there's difficulty with them.
Yeah. Oh, I just went for a run this morning, and I can't imagine. I mean, I'm a fairly new runner. I can't imagine wearing a mask while running. I think I would just keel over. I borderline do already. Another thing, Bob, do you think that it would help if the chamber put together the signage for our contractors on the island, something that we are supposed to be posting?
Well, I can think of 2 really good reasons why that would be helpful. One is for somebody like me who's a little unclear of what I'm supposed to be posting, and it might convince some of my brethren that they should get their act together and take this a little bit more seriously if it was just handed to them. I mean, why wouldn't?
Yeah.
So
that is a part of the idea too, is that if all the businesses on the island are doing this is a community effort, and if everyone sees each other doing this, then we will all hopefully jump on the bandwagon, and keep our whole island and community safe. Any other thoughts? Chris, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have any thoughts at this point?
No,
You're fly on the walling. I just made
I'm
that
fly
into
on the
a
walling.
verb.
I mean, just for context, we're the company that I work for is focusing on creating solutions to help businesses with this current situation. So it's more about really learning where the greatest
what we
needs
need.
are. And to be honest, it wasn't a big transition for me. I've been working with remote meetings and things for years now, so it was something for me that was easy to slip into, but I do see a lot of people suffering with the transition.
Yeah, I was very lucky that I actually initially launched my firm as an online design firm, so I was very comfortable with a lot of the software that was out there and the capability to work virtually. But my business has changed so much, and I've gotten so much more into the depth of it that I really do need to see a house and be hands-on. Okay, so we've got a good idea. It sounds like we need kind of the resources, some more protocols, some signage for posting in our spaces for contractors. Any thoughts on masks, gloves? Would that be helpful for anyone here? I know that Bob's stocked up, but obviously future resources.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, and actually a question for everybody. So I have just my shop gloves that I use, I don't know if they're latex or nylon, whatever it's called. What do people use? Are there more high-tech solutions that aren't so uncomfortable and to wear for hours at a time?
That's a really good question.
I don't know if anybody has recommendations.
One thought, I listened to a doc early on he was an ER doc in New York, and he felt he had gotten a handle on this. He wasn't even wearing gloves. He just, every time he touches, because if you touch a contaminated surface, the gloves on, and then you do one of these, it doesn't matter whether it's your skin.
That's true.
Every time he touches the surface, he just assumes it's contaminated, and he hits it with hand sanitizer.
Right. Okay.
And what I'm doing is, I'm going through it like nobody's business. I go to the bank, I go to the store, I do go anywhere. I've got one in my truck, and then I hit myself with that, and then when I get home, I do the birthday song hand washing thing.
And where are you getting hand sanitizer? I haven't looked that carefully, but I haven't seen any around. We're almost out.
Full of it now.
3/4 is full of it?
I got a jug this big.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday.
That's great.
It looked like I was buying vodka and taking it to the job site. So,
Okay.
I did just reach out to the, oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. The Department of, I'm totally blanking, but I reached out to the company who makes sure that the cleaners are safe, and I don't know why I can't think of the name.
OSHA?
No, DPE, is that right? I can't remember. But they actually have a label for safe and environmentally safe and safe for kids products. And I did put that in a recent blog post. I'll share that too for anyone who's interested. But I reached out and I said, you know, you've got this long list of products and I can't find basic hand sanitizer or disinfectant. And so they sent me over a list and they showed me what was good, healthy products to use that are good for the environment. Not healthy. I mean, obviously don't drink it. But
really?
Yes, like Purell hand sanitizer is the only hand sanitizer that has this label. So I thought it was a really interesting, it was the only one that was approved for environmental standards and safety standards. So I thought that was really interesting. And I'd be happy to share that list with anyone who's interested as well. Yeah, okay, Amy, no problem. Okay, so I think that we've got a good idea of needs there. Let's see. Okay, so now if the chamber were to create, and this is in partnership with Vashon Be Prepared, I got to make sure I give them credit too. They're giving us a lot of support and a lot of help. If we were to create a training workshop on the key guidelines, like really pertinent information for all industries, it would be a little bit more of a blanket that would approach a consistent Vashon approach, I guess, to customer and employee safety. Would you attend if you got this toolkit in return?
Sure. Would it be virtual or?
Yes. Yeah.
No problem. As long as I've got my coffee, I'm good to go. Great.
Yeah, the idea is I think that we're going to have, and this is going to be happening very soon. We're actually meeting with the person who will be teaching the workshop today to talk about the curriculum. And so we're expecting this to happen as soon as next week. And they're going to hold a couple different time options so that people can make it. And then everyone who attends is welcome to this toolkit. My suggestion for this toolkit is that people are able to kind of check off what they need for their business. And then we can provide it as it's available, because our businesses are so different. And I don't know about you, but I don't need a sneeze guard. Seems kind of silly in my industry. So so that's our next step and what we're planning to do. Another thought is, would our group sign or PDF sign, or I'm sorry, use a PDF sign, sorry, that provides a customer pledge to adhere to COVID safety guidelines. So an example of that, and that could be something that would go on our website. The idea is that it's almost like a little plaque or maybe even a badge for a website that says, this is the protocol that we're following and we expect the same from you, essentially.
Yeah.
Is that something anyone would be interested in? Amy, you're kind of,
Yeah, probably not. Well,
Okay.
It depends what it is, possibly, but
Yeah.
can't see it in that formal.
We are working on having someone design it so it will look nice.
Okay. I mean, it's probably common sense, so probably can't.
Yeah. Right,
Sure.
right.
Well, I mean, for me, I don't want clients right now who don't want somebody that's following the protocol.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true.
Like, it's a no-brainer. Plus, I mean, honestly, it's kind of a marketing thing these days. You know, everybody's got something on their website saying how they're dealing with
Yes.
the COVID stuff as a way to make sure that they're, I guess, screening out people that don't want to follow the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it can be hard. I
absolutely.
mean, I've got clients pushing you know, that want us on site. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yep.
no, you gotta
Oh
wait.
yeah. Shortly after the closures, I had a couple of people call and ask for color consultations. I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now. This is not happening at this time. All right. Well, I went through all of my important questions. Are there any thoughts, any creative approaches that we're using that we want to talk about? Any additional concerns that we didn't touch on?
I think you pretty much, covered all of mine. I think we're all having the same, or at least a very similar experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a
Chris,
question of the group?
please.
Because you're all so involved in being on location and such close interaction. As businesses, have you been trying to figure out alternative product or service offerings that you can offer that may be sort of online consulting of certain things or situations, that sort of thing?
Well,
That's a
retirement
really good
come to
question,
mind,
Chris.
but just getting out of the business altogether. But I got a couple more years to go yet. Yeah, I've given some thought to that, Chris. And my wife and I went through a whole process of, what else could I do? What other things could I offer? And really just came back to, this is what I do. And trying to make too big of a switch right now, it just seems like that would probably land me in front of more people rather than fewer people. You know what I mean? As you're trying to build a different sort of business. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I part of my business is bringing pianos into my workshop and rebuilding them there. And so I usually have work like that. But and right before the shutdown, there was one client that was I was going to try to schedule her in, but I missed her cutoff to get her piano out of her home. She was having an elderly husband, a frail husband. So I missed the cutoff. And then I've since not looked for more shop work, but that's part of my business. So that helps. If I were more organized, I would have a shop full of work to do right now, but
Yeah,
I don't.
And I
Thank
teach everything online now, and I have private clients and classes online, and hopefully I'll stay with that. It's been good.
Yeah, thanks. I was just curious because I know some sectors of businesses have the ability to sort of reproductize and offer different things virtually versus locally, but some businesses just don't have that capability.
There are, in my own business, there are a lot of interior designers that operate online. Most of those interior designers are, it's tricky because there are so many different types of interior designers. There are interior decorators that really focus on the movable items, the pillows, the furniture, the drapery is kind of pushing it, but things that people can just shop online or do retail and bring it into their home themselves. I actually don't even shop retail for my in-person clients. I create custom furnishings. So I actually drop the furnishings from scratch and then have a shop build it, send it out to the client. So for me, that is how my business started, as an online. That was my original idea because I had a newborn. And so I thought I'd work online. And even my first few clients they still requested that I come out in person, and I ended up doing it that way. And I really became passionate about it. My work is more about the construction of a space. So I like to rip walls out and put in, openings and really reorganize the space. So for me, yeah, technically I could do it. I don't know that I'd have the same passion. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, that I'll give you everyone one more minute just to quickly, if there's anything else that we want to say or contribute. I did get a screenshot of everyone's emails that were interested in my protocol and survey, and maybe we can work something out with the chamber that I don't know if mine is right on the mark or take it with a grain of salt. But hopefully it helps. And
well, Rachel, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for hosting.
Oh, thank you guys for coming, and I hope to see you guys at one of the workshops.
All right.
All right.
Back
Keep
to
an eye
work.
out.
Yep.
All right. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.